BR-21 is an aircraft-mounted rocket used by the Luftwaffe for attacking bomber formations. If you're using the BR-21, it's ideal to set a fuse for airborne rocket detonation at a desired range, and you need to be able to know how to determine this range when you fire. To know when to fire, you'll need to use the mils and the revit with the target wingspan to determine the range. If you need to know how to do this, you can look at the deflection shooting video that I've put out there. The BR-21 can have fuses available from where it's going to explode on contact through exploding at different ranges. You want to use the range fuse because this will ensure the rocket detonates in the air after that distance, and this will increase your chances of scoring a hit. Here are example sight pictures when using the BR-21. Your range to fire depends on the fuse, so when the airplane approaches the correct size for that range, you place it in its correct position on the sight and then fire off the rockets. If you're going to be using a contact fuse, then you'll be firing at 600 meters. When firing the BR-21s, we're going to be using the revit gun sight with a dual rocket firing sequence. For our attack approach, we'll be at about 500 to 1000 meters above and behind the target, and then we'll begin a diving turn towards it to increase the closure and reduce the range. We want to be at the same altitude, so you align the target in the center of the revit, and you'll end up with an airspeed of about 450 to 500 kilometers per hour. When you're approaching the fuse range, then you'll adjust your sight picture accordingly, keep the wings level, and fire the rockets. Then you can pull away and jettison the rocket tubes and prepare for more attacks. It's important that you use the dual rocket firing. This will help prevent a yaw imbalance that will affect the rocket trajectory. Alright, so we have a flight of 12 A-20s down to our low 1 o'clock, and we're going to make a pass against them. So we'll set our rocket firing sequence to dual using left Windows R, and then we'll prepare to make our attack. In this setup I'm going to be using contact fuses, which means I'll be firing at 600 meters away from the target, and this is an A-20, so it'll be 31 mils wide, which is about 1 tick mark each side of the gun sight. But in general though, I wouldn't really recommend using a contact fuse for air-to-air firing. So we're getting near our attack position, getting ready to nose over. So we can gradually push the nose down, get our acceleration going, start generating some closure against this formation. So as we come in on the dive, we can fine tune our path here and choose one we want to shoot at. We're going to level off at about the same altitude, and we're going to put our target in the center of the revit and hold it there. So we'll know when we're approaching 600 meters against an A-20 because its wingtips are going to touch the first tick on each side of the gun sight. So we're going to hold him in the middle as best as we can. Once he reaches the sight picture, we fire the rockets, and we can see we've scored a direct hit to destroy him. Now I don't really recommend using the contact fuses for air-to-air work because you're going to be relying on a direct hit in order to destroy the target. You'll see in this case only one of the rockets hits and the second one passes by. So in this example the setup is the same with our A-20s down at 1 o'clock. But this time we're going to be using a 1000 meter fuse, which means that the rockets are going to detonate after flying 1000 meters. Now the BR-21s have a pretty high trajectory when you shoot them, so this means that at 1000 meters you're going to be placing the target at the bottom of the revit, which is going to be about 50 mils. So we're in about the right position to start our attack, so we'll bring it down, diving on the formation, generating that closure, coming in around the same altitude as them. I'm going to choose one of these A-20s to shoot at. So we're coming in, we choose this one in the middle. I'm going to try and approach him with 0 aspect and closing in at the same altitude. Now in this, I've begun my dive a little bit too early, so because of the extra drag from the rockets, it's actually going to cause my speed to start decaying a little bit. So this means I'm going to have a slower closure against the target, and it's going to take longer to reduce that distance. So as we're going to be shooting at this A-20 when it's 1000 meters away, that's going to put it at about 18 to 19 mils wide. So as it starts approaching that width, we're going to slowly bring the nose up and fire, and then we'll watch the airborne explosion and takes out the target. Now what you may have noticed on these two approaches is that it took a long time to reduce the distance before I fired the rockets at the target. So this can be dangerous because it'll allow a bomber to shoot at you or a fighter to bounce you. So what we're going to look at in this last approach is making an approach that will allow us to spend a minimal amount of time behind the bomber before firing. So again, it's going to be the same setup against the A-20s. But this time we're going to delay our dive a little bit. This will allow us to pretty much complete our dive close to our firing range. This will minimise the time we spend behind the target. We can then use this extra airspeed to climb back up and prepare to make some gun passes against the formation. So now we're getting ourselves in position, push the nose over and start our dive to the target. So now we're coming down on the target, keeping an eye on its size just to make sure we're coming in at about 1,000 meters when we fire. So we come behind, place it in the center of the sight, pull it up and we fire. And we can pull off, jettison the tubes and use the airspeed to climb back up and get ready for a guns attack. Don't expect to be really accurate with these rockets. They're not designed that way, and historically the accuracy was only about 15%. So in a good situation, you'll be in a group of fighters attacking a formation together. This way you can all fire off your rockets and at least score some hits or disrupt the formation altogether. So I hope this video is going to help you increase your accuracy with these rockets. Let me know if it does with a like button or a comment. Don't forget to be a subscriber, that way you can see new videos as they're released.